Will this episode be just as good as last? Hey everyone, welcome to Princess Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with my blind reaction to episode 4 of the Apothecary Diaries. So last episode was really good. I've talked about before how when I first watch an episode, it's a lot of it is my initial impression. A lot of it tends to be my, biased, having just watched it thoughts. There's a word for that. I'm blanking on what it is. Recency bias. It's my recency bias talking when I say a lot of what I'm talking about in the afterthoughts. So a lot of times when I'm watching a series like this and I come to the next week, my opinions on an episode might have changed a little bit. At least altered in some way. And this is one that it's thinking about it, it just I really love it, just even kind of more than I initially did. Because the last episode, not only continued with the fun and the intrigue of the series as a whole so far, but the love story told was so genuinely beautiful and heartfelt and just lovely. Lovely is a good word for it. That it just, that's my kind of shit, yo. I'm not, I've talked about before, but I'm like Steven from Steven Universe. I love schmaltz. I genuinely love schmaltzy shit. That's just, really cute and heartfelt. And some people would find it a little annoying or a little too cheesy, but I kind of dig that stuff. Now, it has its place and its purpose. If it's used in the wrong kind of movie or wrong kind of show, then yeah, I can see that being annoying, but I typically enjoy things that use it to its full advantage and use it in a way where it makes sense. And this is definitely one of those. Because this obviously involves, the entire lifestyle of the concubines here at the Rear Palace. And it makes perfect sense that there would be a situation like this. Someone who's working as, a sex worker, whether by their will or not, finding actual love in someone that they've known for a long time and having to basically figure out a way to be with that person. And in this case, it involved him literally buying her. She had to make herself undesirable to the emperor, and so her love could buy her, and so she could be with him. Not as a, concubine, not as anything like that, but as a partner. Someone who loved her just as much as she loved him. And it's cheesy as fuck. It's schmaltzy, but I love that because it's cute as well. It's romantic. As romantic as it can be given the situation, but still. It's I enjoy that kind of shit. And part of it's definitely because of jealousy, if I'm being honest. Because I wish I could have a romance like that, or just honestly a romance at all. But yeah, it's definitely something I've always wanted for myself, and I think that's part of the reason why I gravitate towards that kind of stuff so easily. So, yeah. But the episode definitely had Mao Mao starting to really think about love as well. And I think that was a big part of it because they're definitely setting up for her and our main male character here, whose name I will eventually get down, I swear. They're definitely setting up for a romance between them. Even if it's one-sided at first, it's definitely the setup. The open even kind of proves that. But I don't remember if I said this before, but I'm going to say it here, and this might be controversial. This might be an unpopular viewpoint. I don't want them to ever get together. Not just because I'm usually against the entire main female and main male characters having to be forced together because they just are the main male and female characters, but I don't want them to get together because Mao Mao actively shows repulsion toward him. Not as a person, but in terms of his flirting with her. Like, she actively shivers from it. Like the full body Studio Ghibli shiver. She actively makes these grossed out faces. She is not just not interested in him, she actively does not like him in that way. She actively has no romantic interest in him. And I'm not like saying that there's anyone else at the moment, because honestly there isn't. There's absolutely no one else that you could really ship her with. Right now, at least. But I don't ship her with him either. At all. Because it's so one-sided that it feels weird and almost a little gross to see them together. So I'm just not on board with it. And maybe that opinion will change. I'm fine with it changing as long as it's done naturally and believably. But as of now, I think they would make an absolutely toxic couple if you got them together as they are. And honestly, I think Mao Mao deserves better than that. So I really can't get behind it as of where it is now. Again, if that changes and if it does it well, I'm fine with that. There have been a lot of ships that I was not behind right away. And so it just has to be handled well if it's going to happen. And it's, again, clearly going to happen. But like, I don't know. I'm not into it right now. That's the long and short of it. So I'm more interested to see more of Mao Mao doing wacky potion and poison shenanigans and stuff. I'm more excited to see her geeking out and turning kitty cat face over various herbs and medicines. That's the kind of shit I'm watching this for. The love story last episode was like a massive highlight and definitely helped make it the best episode of the season so far. But like, I'm looking for more than that too. And I wonder what other people like think about these episodes, and if they think that as of by episode 3 that was the best, like I do, or if they liked like maybe episodes 1 or 2 better. I don't know. But either way, it's still just getting started. We're still like setting a lot up. We're still building into this series. We've only watched 3 episodes so far. So there's still a lot more to do. And I'm hoping that we continue to get more and more invested in this series, in the humor, in the storytelling, the character work. And I want to see some bigger things happening. It looked like the end of last episode was maybe starting that, because it looked like that might have been the Emperor who came in. And if that is the case, that's a really big fucking deal. But I am just hoping for a little bit more right now. Because it's been very simple as of the current moment. It's like kind of touched on some heavy topics that are definitely relevant in the time period this would take place in. But I feel like it's still kept things fairly like easy. Like it's an easy mode on a video game. We haven't really gotten into the meat of this series yet. So, that being said, we're going to get into this episode, see what we have in store, and hope for the best. So, let's get into it. Hold up just a sec. Before you click that link down in the description below to get to today's video, I want to remind you of all the awesome content we have both on this channel and the Princess of Gaming channel. Let's check it out. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, there's this the one thing that I'm a little iffy about with this series so far. Like, while a lot of the comedy is really good, while the characters are great, I like the kind of medical aspect to it. I'm not a big fan of the formulaic aspect. And that might just be a me thing, but each episode, outside of the specifics of what each thing that Mama has to take care of, after the first episode, of course, has been the same, all things considered. It's like the previous episode at the very end sets up the next episode, and then that episode it revolves around resolving whatever is going on, whatever was set up, and maybe one or two other things are happening as well. But it's like, it's so paint by numbers. And I've seen a lot of anime, a lot of shows in general in my life where it's like, yeah, a lot of them will have a lot of formulaic storytelling to them. And there's a lot of shows that do this at the beginning, but then move into a more serialized story. And I'm hoping this is that. Because the formulaic aspect to this series so far is, it just kind of feels like nothing's moving on. And also the time frame for things, I am completely kind of like in the dark on. Because this episode took place over the course of at least 2 months. Presumably a little bit more than that. But at least 2 months. How long has it been since Mao Mao first arrived in the Rear Palace? How long has it been since she was kidnapped and all that? We don't have a full sense of time. And so it's like, it's really hard to kind of get those kind of vibes and those kind of specificities with a series like this, with it being so episodic. If this was more of a serialized thing that had like an ongoing narrative, it might be a little bit easier. But on top of that, it's like, I feel like a series like this would benefit from an ongoing narrative. Or at least multi-episode narratives. It doesn't have to be like a huge thing. But, like, every episode just being basically the same formula over and over again, it's not doing as much as, honestly, these characters and concepts deserve. I understand this is episode 4. I want to make that clear. I understand this is still the beginning of the series. But I feel like this definitely needs to evolve into a serialized story. To some degree, at least. Or, again, at least having multi-episode stories in it. Because this one story per episode thing, with, again, each episode having a preview for the next one with this little, like, look at whatever's happening and all. It's just way too much of the same thing over and over again. And you have episodes like this that prove how like vastly interesting of a character Mao Mao is, how interesting Zinshi? It was something like that. I have no idea why his name always escapes me. But it shows how interesting he is and how invested in her he is. We get to see a little bit of the Emperor in this and how he still cares for Lady Liwa. We get to see a lot more depth with Lady Liwa. It's building on so much that we've seen from other episodes. But story-wise, it's just not doing much of anything. Again, it's like it's holding back from like really progressing things as much as it could and should be in my eyes, in order to focus more on these little like case of the week kind of things. It's like when a show does a monster of the week or a um battle of the week or whatever have you. It's just it's something that could very easily get boring over time. And that's why I'm bringing this up so much, because I'm worried. Because I'm enjoying this series, but I really don't want it to get boring. And I know this is 2 seasons right now, and I believe a third one's already like coming, but it's just like I really don't want this series to lose its luster. Let me check something real quick. I want to see if there's a timeline for this series. Because again, like this episode alone had at least 2 months. Jinshi, by the way. I'm not seeing anything here, really. So, yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to find much. That kind of sucks, but yeah, I'm just kind of wondering, like, exactly how long it has been. And I'm wondering, like, further how long this is going to go. And it's just like, I wouldn't be wondering this if the episode didn't straight up tell me that this was 2 months that Mao Mao was helping take care of Lady Liwa until she could walk again on her own. Um, so yeah, it's just, I'm just very curious about that. Um, Obviously, I couldn't look too deep into it on there because I didn't want any spoilers, but yeah. Anyways, I'm very, very much enjoying the series, like I said, but I really just want it to do something more because I just feel like this is one of those shows that has so much potential. If it kind of broke its own rules in a way, if it broke its own like focuses and started to take risks. I understand that the kind of the entire point is that Mao Mao is an apothecary and that like she's obviously going to be focusing on like aspects of medicine and whatnot. But we have a little bit of setup with the idea of love being implanted there too. And I really would like to see her actually, like, think about and focus on other problems and maybe being able to solve those too. Like, you could easily insert more things related to being a concubine in here because Mao Mao has experience with that kind of stuff because of her working with the concubines from her past. We could easily do stuff with that. That's not related to medicine in any way. And it's like that's the kind of stuff I more like would like to see more of for one. But I'm wondering just how you would even do like a big longer running story for this series. Because right now we haven't really gotten anything for that. So I don't know. I don't know, but I'm hoping that we get something more. That's my big wish. Obviously, do not tell me anything. I again wish to remain spoiler free, but I just really want this series to really impress me. And right now, it's really good, but it's not like going past its previously set boundaries. And it's just again doing the same stuff over and over. So hopefully it evolves. Hopefully it becomes something more. I know there's some people out there, some like people who watch anime and cartoons and stuff who don't want shows to ever change and don't want them to ever, grow and evolve. But I'm the opposite of that. I believe a show becoming stagnant is worse than it getting canceled. Honestly. So, for now, we'll continue on, see what it continues to give us, but I really do hope it starts to evolve soon. Also, hopefully next time I won't have like a file that has like the subtitles in there too, because that was distracting. Um, it just, it felt like, excuse me. It felt like the subtitles and the dialogue that was being spoken in the dub were pretty spot on with each other. Just, using some different wording at times. But at the same time, it just felt like it felt off with having both on screen, you know what I mean? Especially when they don't match 100%. It just feels like kind of a waste of time. But we'll hopefully get one next time without. But that being said, thank you so much as always for tuning in. Let me know your thoughts below. And as always, no spoilers. So thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.